Hey, there we are. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the Banff Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty, and today we have David Okum, author of Save the Day, which...
Ta-da!
Hey, Dave.
Hello!
The advanced version recently came out on RPG Now and DriveThru RPG, and you won a BAMC.
Yes, thank you. That was awesome.
The very prestigious Superhero RPG Awards that we give out in this podcast, and glad to have you back. We had you on previously when you were doing your Kickstarter, I think.
I think that was it. Yeah. So it's great to be back, and it's been really kind of a fun ride with the game, and I'm still awaiting another version of the print on demand. There's been some issues with the printing I'm trying to solve, and as well have a full-time job and do everything else I have to do and create content. So it's been kind of a bit more difficult than I had thought, but it's on the way. I got 2 more shipments coming in from England to see how they look. So hopefully they look good.
All right, cool. Sounds good. And with us today is our regular co-host, Walt Rebelliard. How you doing, Walt?
Hola. How are you?
We're good. We are good. How's the nose?
Healing.
Okay.
So I'm not scared. It's still a little crooked, but they're gonna fix it again in July. So I will have the first time of me having a straight nose and able to wear a Batman mask properly for forever.
Okay, Dave. Just for context, Walt broke his nose in a black belt test about a month and a half ago. So.
Wow, I haven't done a black belt test, but I've done lots of belt grading, so I know what that's like.
Right on.
Well, hey, let's dive in and talk about Save the Day.
Sure. So Save the Day came out of a playtest that I was doing using original D&D system. Originally, I was going to use Swords and Wizardry as a system, and we were running into all kinds of scaling issues. Things got really crazy really fast in that system. So I was considering kind of abandoning the project, but then I had created a game called Dark Fast Dungeons, which was a print and play dungeon crawl game. And I did a Kickstarter for that. And my friend suggested we use that system, and I gave it a try, just using magic spells as powers and kind of going from there. And it sort of worked. And so I sat down and I thought, well, what we need is some sort of class origin system. So you choose an origin and mix that with a class. And so what I did was came up with a series of origins. So for example, if you want to do a Superman kind of character, you could play like a strange visitor, which would be like somebody from outside of time or space or another dimension, and then mix that up with a class. So maybe if you're going to play that, maybe a brute. So you have sort of a character that's like a brick, I guess, in other systems. And then just by combining those 2 cards, you have a list of talents, powers, and issue powers. And then you just build a character from there. So that's kind of how you'd make a character. You can make a character fairly quickly in about 10-15 minutes, just by picking and choosing different talents and powers. So and then you're ready to go. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time. And the system itself, the actual task resolution system is fairly straightforward. It's a dice roll, so it's called an ability check. So you have only one stat, really, which is called ability, and this is kind of how good you are at stuff. It gets modified with talents and situations, but essentially what you do is you roll your your ability plus a d6, and the total is what you get. Normally, to do any task, you have a sample difficulty of 6. So a d6 plus ability, and if you get a 6, you do it. So the basic comic scale for Save the Day is ability of 3. So the ability of 3 basically gives you a 50-50 chance of doing something. And then if you throw in modifiers and talents, then you have a better chance of doing things. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, there are not many super systems where you can make a full character in 10 to 15 minutes. That's just kind of I think it's you and Icons and Supers are the only 3 I know of. So,
well, I did put out the Banffy Award-winning advanced book, which I have a printed copy here, just to print it out What it does is it expands the system, and it adds something called quirks, which are things that are advantages and disadvantages to certain powers, and you can kind of tweak them. You can tweak the powers, I should say, tweak the powers to be where you want them to go. There's alternate character creation systems here. So if that system of choosing is too slow for you, you can always roll up a character really in about 2 minutes and come up with a character that's completely random, but I'm sure would be fun to play.
Random character gen's always fun. Hey, we're doing a little demo today, and you have a really cool. Is that all cardboard, or is that poster board, or?
Yeah, it's printed out from a computer printer, and then on cardstock paper, and then built. So for example, Mechaneer is one of the characters that Walt will be playing, and looks a little bit like that. So I don't know if I can get a. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
what are you using for base?
These are from Litco. These are clear plastic bases, and what you do is I pop these guys out and I put them in a binder, and then I take them out and I get the base and I slide them in the base. Just has a little slight curl that holds them, so you can actually hold it by the miniature.
That's pretty slick.
And so you have this Litco base, which is quite cunning in its design. I can't if I focus it a bit, but so it works pretty well, and I've got about 100 of these bases now, different scales as well. I've got ones for horse characters for my fantasy campaign, for motorcycles for the modern, and I've got bigger bases for larger monsters and demons and creatures like that. So,
I'll go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, they're Litco. So if you're interested, you can order them from their website. I think you can get them off of Amazon as well.
Cool. Could you pan over and show the folks at home the elaborate setup you have there?
Certainly. Here you go. So this is where you're going to be. This is where the magic's going to happen right here. Just going to set this up for you. So this is down the dock side of Superior City, which is one of the two key fake cities in my campaign world. So this is what we're going to be doing here. We got yourself a tug and some cars, and there's a garbage truck over there, which is going to be key. And up on this building, if you take a close look, I feel like Mr. Rogers here, and up on this building over here, you'll see Umbaran, who is hiding by the cinema sign there.
Yeah, Umbaran's who I will be playing, and he's sort of the as we talked before the show, kind of the kid Batman.
Yeah, he's sort of let's get a little picture of him here. This is the character printout I'd have of him. Just keep track of your stuff. So there's Umbaran, who is and this is a character that appears in the main rulebook as a sample character. And then another character that appears is a sample character in the main rulebook is Mechaneer, who Walt will be playing today. So kind of a kid Iron Man, I guess.
Yes.
There you go.
I hadn't noticed this before. Are kid heroes kind of a theme in Save the Day?
They were, the initial play tests I played with a lot of kids. So a lot of their characters were younger, kind of Teen Titans level and younger, and so that became a definite theme for a lot of the original characters in the game. I slowly started, as I wrote the game, I started porting over some of my Champions campaign from 1981 on, and it's sort of changed the tone overall. But I think that in the core of the game, I think there's definitely a very youthful sensibility to it. Maybe more like a Teen Titans or Legion of Superheroes feel than anything. So yeah, I think that would probably be a fair thing to say.
Okay, cool. And as we mentioned, Walt is playing Mechaneer, who's kind of a kid Iron Man, and I am playing Umbaran, who's kind of kid Batman. And you said we need a couple D6s, right? Yeah,
really, all you really need to play the game is a 1 or 2 D6. Most of the attack rolls and that sort of thing are opposed rolls. So you roll to see who gets highest. The damage is actually in the difference of the roll. So if for example, Umbaran rolled an 8 for an attack, and a thug rolled a 7, that's 1 point of damage, and then you would look to see how many extra points of damage that Umbaran would do in hand-to-hand, which in this case is nothing. He's lithe, but he doesn't do it. Now, in order to increase things that he can do, I have something called stunts. So you can use acrobatics. to basically increase your damage, increase your movement, increase your ability to do something else. So you would do a separate acrobatics talent roll, which Umbaran has. And then say if you rolled a 6, you would get a +1. So that could be, you could get a +1 damage on that, like run up the side of the wall and come crashing down on somebody. You describe what you're going to do. If you rolled a 9, you would get a +2 to that, +2 damage. And if you rolled an amazing 12 for some reason, some characters are tougher that way, you could add up to +3 damage. So there's ways of increasing the effects of things. And you can also push, which is another thing I can explain as you go. The other thing that lets you increase things is you get in the game, you get little hero points here. And each of these characters you start with 1 hero point. If you're lucky, or if you're super lucky, you get more. And what this does is allows you to add 3 points to any roll or any result. So for example, say Umbaran needs to really, do some damage to somebody, he could throw in a hero point to kick it up a notch.
To make it bam.
Yes, and what other thing you can do, you gain hero points whenever you roll a critical result. So if you hit someone, or if you're in a combat and you get a critical, one of the benefits of a critical, obviously, other than doing double damage, is that you get yourself a hero point that you can spend. Now, alternately, if you really want to push it, you can make a pushing roll, and you have a chance of losing health to increase your result by 3. So it's kind of the heroic move there,
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready. You guys ready?
Yeah, I think we should.
Hit it. Do it up.
Okay. All right, we're going to start off with Umbaran, who is currently hiding, and I'll be moving the camera around, so I hope it's not too vertigo-inducing. Yeah, Umbaran is up here on the cinema building, and he is taking a look down here at some sort of, I don't know if it's a weapons deal or some sort of a nefarious thing that his father set up to send gear or equipment or some sort of technology into the wrong hands, and it looks like they're loading it up in a garbage truck. Could be their cover. So Umbaran, who gets sort of this heads up from his dad's family business, has decided to show up that evening and see what he can do to maybe put a dent in this operation.
Okay, so I'm staking it out from the roof of the cinema, just thinking dark thoughts about how I am night and I am vengeance.
That's correct.
Okay.
And in fact, he has a panel power called "I Am the Night."
How does a panel power work?
Sure. There's 2 types of powers in the game. Well, there's talents and panel powers and issue powers. Panel powers can happen at any game turn. So a game turn is called a panel. It's a page. Your panel is your action. So if, for example, you are going to do something, you can say, well, I'm going to use I Am the Night. And what happens with I Am the Night is that it doesn't make you invisible, but you're not noticed. So you can almost be hidden in plain sight. So you can basically stand beside a villain and they can basically tell the other villain their big plan and then stop and go, wait a minute, did you hear something? Nah. And what happens is they can't spot you unless they have some sort of superpower that allows them to see or hear or smell, supernaturally in some way, unless a regular person rolls a 6 and then they spot you immediately, and then it's kind of gone until you try to use it again. Now, stunts allow you to add +3 to any of your acrobatics rolls and stuff like that as well. So it gives you a possibility of being more effective and more outrageous with your stunts. And issue powers can only happen once per issue. So, for example, Analyze Weakness gives you a bonus to hit, but you have to make a roll to see if you do that, an ability check. And if you do, you get +3 on any roll against that target for the rest of the encounter.
Okay, sounds good.
Now, just really fast, I think utility belt allows you to basically get any sort of a piece of equipment or modify any sort of equipment as needed. So if, for example, Umbaran was battling Superman, he could make his little crescent boomerang now sort of tinged with kryptonite, so that you could actually get past the defenses of Superman, for example.
If I was fighting King Shark, I might have shark repellent in there, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, exactly. You got the idea. So so that's basically where you're going with that, and it can happen once per issue. Now, if you wanted, you could buy utility belt like 2 times when you're making a character, and that would let you just keep changing stuff up if you wanted.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so
have Mechaneer and I coordinated before this, or am I on a solo mission and he's going to show up at some point?
You have coordinated in the past. You got a kind of a little informal team going, and Mechaneer knows too that where there is gang trouble, Umbaran will follow, even if you can't see them right away.
Do we have like a duo name?
No.
Like Ratchet and Dark or something like that. I don't know.
You could make something up. I think that would be fun.
The
world.
What is it?
The Thompson Twins. How about Wham?
Oh my God, I love Wham.
Wham CA, I think so. Yeah. Well, okay. Although Superior City's in Wisconsin, so.
Okay, so Superior City, is it like a Metropolis or a Gotham clone?
It's more of a fallen Metropolis clone. Basically, the backstory is that during the Cold War, it was sort of the place for high-tech devices, and it was in the north of the United States because it was up towards the Dew Line, so that they could get everything up there. Essentially, what happened was after the Cold War, with the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Cold War, ending, it fell into bad times, and all of the high-tech companies closed or moved, and whoever's left is sort of kind of the losers of the team, right? Of this, and it's sort of a fun fallen metropolis essentially. So it's seen better days. Let's put it that way.
Kind of reminds me of Detroit, but okay, cool, that works. So I guess I'm wondering if I should jump in and start punching guys, or if I should surveil a little bit longer.
Sure, I'm going to have you do an ability check, and you have a talent called Awareness. It gives you a +1. So to get your first ability check going here, add your ability +1, and add a d6 roll, and I'll tell you you can find out what the result is.
Right, so my ability is 3, and I'm rolling 1d6.
Yeah, and you add +1 because you have Awareness.
Okay, so 1d6 +1, I get a total of 4.
Okay, and then a d6 roll.
Okay. All right. So the 1 is out to the ability, not to the roll. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you can add it to your ability just to kind of have a starting point. So you're starting at 4, then you roll a d6, and then you find out what the result is.
I rolled a 5 on 1d6.
Excellent. Okay, so you got a total of 9, which means that if something that's difficult would be noticeable. So you're noticing things really well. You don't have any special vision or anything like that, but you can basically look down onto the street and you see this garbage truck, which is being loaded up with looks like vats of chemicals from a forklift there, and people standing around are looking rather, shady, and you recognize some of your dad's men who are actually assisting in the unloading of the equipment, but you don't recognize the people that are getting it loaded into the garbage truck.
These are not honest stevedores, for they have a bill of lading for evil.
I am so using that tonight.
So you basically, what I've done here is I've rolled on your archenemy list here. It says Father's thugs show up at least once one per each issue, and this became kind of the plot point for your character. Luckily, Mechaneer's archenemy, Master Controller, did not show up. You'll notice there's a slight switch on some of that, but he didn't. He hasn't shown up. So yeah, that
would make things difficult.
It would. It's happened before.
It's basically Ultron, right?
He's a super tough tube of villainous energy. He's one of those. He's like a super robot that was built during the Cold War that sort of started taking over all the robots in the city and had a robot rebellion back in the 70s. Yeah, so kind of a dangerous hombre.
He's a bad hombre.
He is. Yeah. Okay, so Umbaran, you are up on there, and you've gathered some information. I'm going to let you take an action before we get Mechaneer in the fun. So, is there anything in particular that you'd like to do?
Can I swing across the street so I'm a little closer, so I can jump down in a dramatic fashion and start pummeling some guys when the time is right?
Sure, you have your stunts ability, so you can kind of pull that kind of trick off. So what you do for each panel that you act, you roll to activate. Now the activation roll is a bit of a holdover from old-fashioned war games, which I used to play quite a bit back in the 80s. And the activation roll kind of randomizes your ability to do things in a panel. So sometimes it's good when you roll a 6, and sometimes it's not so good when you roll a 1. So you have to be a little more creative, and maybe things aren't going to necessarily go your way. The alternate rule for that is if you don't like random activation, is something called take 5, and then you just sort of act as if you had rolled a 5. But I think for today's session, we're just going to have you roll a d6, and that will be your activation roll.
All right, sounds good. 1 second. I'm rolling, and I got a 2.
A 2. So you're probably not going to be able to jump that far, because a 2 would let you go essentially 4 inches of a jump. Now, what you could do, because you can double your movement with a run or a jump, kind of thing. If you would like to, you could roll stunts, or stunts would add 3 to that. So that starts at a 5, and the doubling that would get you right across on the side here to get 10. So theoretically and technically, you can do it with a 2, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Just try to get myself in position to, try to position myself over the group of toughs, so I'll be ready to, jump down and
sounds good.
Take out 1 or 2 with my landing before I start throwing punches.
So you do this amazing somersault just for the symmetry of the situation. Do an ability check, and you can add your acrobat to that. See how you're doing.
D6 roll was a 3.
Okay, so 3 plus 4, so it's a 7. So that'll get you across easily. So it's quite amazing that you're able to do that. But with your stunts ability, you're on the other side of the street with no problem. And if you wanted to, I would probably say, you may want to say that you're using "I am the Knight" just so that you're, and when you land, so that you can
be stealthy and not be detected.
That's correct. Okay.
All right. So let's say I'm using "I am the Knight" so I can have silent footballs, so footfalls. So everyone's not like, "Hey, what's that?" Hey. Footfalls. All right, so that's what I'm doing this turn.
Excellent. Okay, so you're on the other rooftop there, and you land handily right after the clock there. Boom! I got a cat on the table. There you go.
It's a giant cat attacking the metropolis.
A giant cat is attacking. She's a very friendly cat. Here, I'm gonna sit. She wants to see what's going on. That's all. Here, go ahead.
So she's licking the metropolis.
Essentially, yeah. She's going to probably do worse if I let her. Okay. There you go. That's good. All right. So, Mechaneer, I'm going to give you a chance to have an activation roll.
Okay. 1d6 for that?
1d6 for that.
Okay. Using my handy-dandy random.org dice roller.
Da-da-da-da.
I got a 1.
A 1. All right. So here's what Mechaneer ends up doing. He comes across over here off the beaten path onto the street. Let me just raise the camera a bit. And you are approaching the Coffee Lotto Center, which it says erroneously open 24 hours a day, because nobody's in there right now. Just on the other side here of the parking area, you can see that there's some sort of business going down. You did not see Umbaran leap across because he is the knight. Yeah, so that's where you're. And that can be repeated over and over again for comic effect. which is usually what happens in that situation.
Can I just say that dropping the camera down into the terrain like that is fantastic.
It really adds a lot to the situation, doesn't it? Yeah, I really love doing that. Yeah. So you are you're approaching because you rolled you rolled a 2 or a 1, I can't remember.
Oh no, it was a 1
for activation. So you could run 2, which would get you kind of to the Coffee Lotto Center there.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Oh, I hear a cat. Sounds like maybe that's what my cat's attracted to.
Yeah, man, it might be. It's feeding time at the homestead.
Oh dear. Okay.
So yeah, I rolled a 1, so I basically get to the Coffee Lotto, and the smell of coffee has deterred me from going any further.
That's true. You're gonna get, hey, those lotto tickets look pretty nice. Okay, so you get to about there, and the baddies seem to be loading up the chemical barrels into the back of the garbage truck, and I can't see exactly what is seen here, but this kind of raises this up, and it gets inserted into the back, and there's a lot of beeping going on as there is heavy equipment being used. So that's pretty much all they're doing. They're smoking profusely because they're bad guys, and and that's essentially what's going on. And if you look carefully, you can see that Umbaran is just, up there in the corner, looking down on the city like vengeance.
Because vengeance
is the night.
So I don't see Umbaran though.
No, you're not aware of Umbaran's presence until Umbaran wants you to be aware of his presence.
Has he notified me of the presence of the nefarious smoking men of the dock?
I essentially usually he kind of gets you in on it because he doesn't like going alone because he usually gets beaten up. So, so yes, you've been informed that there's some of the as he would say, Adams family action.
That's
on.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The name is Wayne Adams. See, it's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that joke. It's a lot of levels.
Just every once in a while, Mechaneer, a little paper shuriken lands in a crease in your armor, and it's a note from me.
I will check the note.
It says, "Hey, those guys by the garbage truck smoking, those are bad guys."
There you go. So
got it.
You can't tell the players without a program here, guys. So they load it up, and it seems to be that's the last of it, and you can hear sort of some satisfied, well, that is it, as they're talking to the Adams representatives that are there, and that's about as far as they get. So it's back to Umbaran, who is knighting up at the top there.
I am going to drop down like a specter of vengeance.
All right. So activate. Roll to activate.
Rolling to activate. Did you guys hear that clip I was playing from Kevin Conroy?
No.
Well, I guess it didn't come through.
Oh, dear. I am the knight. Hey, there you go.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Roll a 2.
A 2. So again, another 2 for activation. However, you do have stunts, which will let you add 3 to any of those results. So you could sort of drop down, because I think that is less than 5 to drop down there. Yeah, it's about 5 exactly. So you could land on the roof of the dump truck, and because you are the knight, you're basically going to make an ability check to kind of just make sure you're not going to make any noise as you bang into the roof of this metal truck. Okay, I rolled D6 and got a 3. A 3? Okay. Okay, so so 3 plus a 3 is a 6. So that would be kind of their ability, what they would need to check. However, just checking the I am the Knight here. It says that no ability is required for totally silent movement and hiding. And I'm gonna give them a ability check. If they roll a 6, a natural 6, they hear the bang and or aware of your presence. Okay, so there's let me see how many random mooks that I have here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which are around you here. So first, the Mrs. Girlfriend lady who is standing at the front of the vehicle here. I don't know if you can see her. She rolls a 1, so she's totally unaware. She's just trying to light her cigarette. One of the Adams guys that has the registration of the goods here, he rolls a 4. 3 in the back, gentleman with the Uzi gets a 6. And the narrow jacket, which is always kind of a bad sign. And the guy beside him, he rolls a 6 as well. So these two must have spotted you jump and heard the bang. The Adams representative that's here rolls a 1. He's totally excited because he has a briefcase full of money. So that's
cool. Can I move and attack, or is it just a move and then I attack next turn?
Okay, because you rolled a 2 and added your stunts, you essentially just did your whole movement to jump down and land on this and look menacing. So you certainly put the fear into the two agents who kind of look up at you and go, "What is that? You never told us there would be company."
Mechaneer, this is your distraction.
That's right. Sounds like a distraction to me.
Aha.
So Mechaneer.
So you need me to crash into something to cause massive amounts of distractible noise?
No, I'm making the distraction. You should start shooting guys.
Oh, yeah, that works too.
Yeah, so just to kind of give a Mechaneer point of view here, what's going on, you can see that there is down the street a lady wearing a blue suit with a mini skirt and a pillbox hat, and she has a cigarette in a cigarette holder, and she is, totally unaware of what's going on here.
Man, Jackie Kennedy has really let herself go.
How old must she be? And then standing beside her is a representative of the Addams family, who is looking, like rather smitten with this exotic woman.
So could I jump with my powered suit? Can I jump so that I'm above the Lotto building to get a better perspective of this?
You could jump up onto the Lotto building with your ability check. So what you need to do first is just roll for activation. Hopefully you roll higher than a 1.
Let's hope. A 6 that time.
That is amazing. So essentially what I do is leaping up cost 2 action points, right? So leaping up here would get you about 1 inch, 2 inches. So you're left over with 4 inches, 4 movement when you're up on top there. And essentially that 4 is left over for other actions. So you could kick it in a high gear and jump towards them. You probably couldn't get right to them at this point with that, but there are other ways of doing things. So
my wrist blasters, would I be able to reach all of them?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they would be within range. At least
okay.
At least the ones you can see there, so you can kind of see what you can see.
Right. I'm gonna say if I could hit the front of, is that a forklift over there?
Yeah, there was a forklift in the back that had some sort of chemical drum that would just put into the back of the garbage truck.
I'm going to see if I can hit the forklift to knock it back into the evil smoking denizens to see if I can knock them into the water.
All right. So, let's take a look, see what we can do. The smoking denizens. There's 2 on this side that have spotted Umbaran. There is an Addams family representative, who's stepping out of the forklift. You could probably even push this up against the wall here.
Oh, to pin him up against the wall. Yeah, that's cool
To
too.
pin him up against the wall, if you like. So what you can do when you're stating you're going to do some sort of special thing like that, whether you're pushing somebody off a wall or doing something like that, what you can state is that you're not going to technically do any damage, but what you're going to do is you're going to focus on the knockback. So let's do that then. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
How do I do that?
Here we
I gotta
go.
roll my 1d6.
Yeah. So since you've got 4 left, that's plenty enough to do your attack. You look like you're at about medium range here. So what you're going to do is you're going to do ability plus a d6, and you have favored attack wrist blasters, which gives you +2 to hit. Because you're hitting a standard object that's not trying to evade, the only roll you roll against is a d6. So there's a good chance you can actually do something to it. So
Okay, so I'm rolling my d6 again. And let's see what we get. I got a 4.
Okay, so 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. So you got a 9 total to start with. So suddenly the knight is shattered by the wrist blasters of Mechaneer pew-pewing away.
Pew 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 pew.
And I'm going to roll for the actual forklift, and I got a 6 for the forklift, which is a pretty good roll. So you hit by 3, and if you take a look under your damage bonus, it looks like that the wrist blaster does a standard attack, so 3 points. It's going to hit the it's going to definitely hit the forklift, but it's not going to push it back. It's just not enough pew pew to push back the forklift. But you definitely blow it apart and do a lot of damage to it, and which totally freaks out the Addams family representative, who just drops his briefcase of money temporarily and has a bit of a panic attack. All right.
As you do when you drop your briefcase full of money.
Oh, exactly. He's going to get in trouble, so that wouldn't be a good thing. So that was so you blasted it, but there was no knockback. The way knockback happens essentially is you look at how much damage you do, and you subtract the ability, and then what's left over is it sort of tells you how far you go back. So if you would have if you rolled a 9 and I rolled a 1, you had an 8. That would have been that would have been eight difference. So there would have been 5. So you would have knocked it back 2 inches into the wall there. Just so you're aware. All right.
That's okay. Him dropping the money all scared and worrying about how many cigarettes he's not going to be able to buy in the future. Yeah, that's good for me.
Sounds good. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get Umbaran to make a quick ability check. Notice, basically, it's an awareness roll. I want to see if he's aware of something.
Roll a 4 and a d6.
Okay, so 4, 5, 6, 7, and awareness if 1 is 8. So that's really good. You up on top of this garbage truck, you can see that. Basically, down in this vehicle, this yellow vehicle, there is somebody sitting in the passenger seat, kind of a larger person wearing maybe perhaps a feather boa, who has a cigarette in his mouth, and you can see the bright glow of a cigarette, orange glow of a cigarette, kind of illuminate a scruffy-looking face, and then disappear as he puts it out.
Is this my dad? Is this someone I know?
You're not aware of who this could possibly be. Your dad is doesn't wear usually a feather boa.
I didn't want to prejudge, Dave. You understand?
Well, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with wearing a feather boa. I'm just saying that that's not your standard operating attire for your father.
But he is smoking, so he must be evil.
Well, that's kind of a shortcut, isn't it?
What does it say about John Constantine? Let's not delve into that too deeply.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start throwing not batarangs. These guys.
No. Crescents, yes.
Crescents.
Crescent boomerangs, like the moon.
Okay.
Because the Umbaran is the shadow of the moon, right? So you're throwing the light.
Understood. Okay. Can I target more than one person, or is it?
You could. It's a little tricky. Why don't you roll to see what your what you get for your activation roll to start with, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay. Then I'm just going to target one so we can keep things simple. Activation roll was a 6.
A 6 is amazing. You could target 2 at no modifier, or you could target 1 at a +1.
Let's target 2 at no modifier then.
All right. So who are you going to aim for here? You have several targets. These two guys in narrow jackets, they seem to have spotted you first.
Those are my 2 targets.
That sound like the 2 awesome targets. Now, you're probably within 10 inches of them, which it looks to be like. One of these squares is about 6 inches, so that's kind of how I know. I can kind of eyeball it. So you could get a +1 for range on each of them. So you're going to start with... you've got a range modifier with that of +2 because you have favored attack boomerang. So that's starting with a 5 +1 for your range. So 6. You're starting with a 6, and you roll a d6 to.
All right, so we'll roll a d6 twice, 1 for each attack.
That's true. So we'll go with the guy in the gray first, and then we'll go with the guy in the beige.
Okay, for the guy in the gray, I rolled a 1.
Okay, what?
Go ahead.
A 1 is generally a miss, but if I roll a 6, it's technically a fumble. So it would. Okay, I rolled a 1. Sorry, a 2 as well. A 2 to 2. I rolled a 2. So you, I think you're going to hit him anyway. You probably knock him down, but you might not do any damage. And the second guy in the beige.
Let me roll again.
Second roll.
Ooh, okay. I got a 1 for him as well.
Okay, I rolled a 3. So again, you hit both of them, but they don't take any damage. It's considered a miss, but just for flavor, what I generally do is it's sort of like you've knocked them down, but they haven't taken any damage from this, or they dove out of the way so quickly that they stumble and so your boomerangs go off over the water and circle back to get back to you next panel. All right.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so fling, and they. I'm just gonna lay them down so I remember that they are diving for it, and they're like, they're not so happy about that. Okay, so that's what Umbaran was up to, which was effective if you wanted to knock him down, and now it's Umbaran, who is on the roof of the Lotto Center.
I thought you meant Mechaneer.
Oh, Mechaneer, my bad.
I don't judge.
I was looking at Umbaran's sheet here when I was talking. So, okay, Mechaneer, you can activate, and we can see what you can do.
Okay, activation roll. I get a 5.
Excellent. So you're spitting hot death at the forklift. There. Is there anything else you would like to target?
Seeing as this is technically a game more targeted for kids, shouldn't I be spewing hot uncomfortability?
Well, I think that would be fair. I know that Batman has spit hot death one in a couple of early issues, but
oh yeah,
perhaps I'm just channeling Golden Age Batman.
Is there anybody in the garbage truck?
It looks like nobody is actually in the cab of the garbage truck, but since you're looking, I'm going to let you make a roll, and you got a little heads-up display that comes up anyway. Give me an ability check to notice something.
Okay, I am rolling, and I got a 4.
So 4 plus 3 is 7. So you needed a 6, which means that you do notice that in the yellow car on the other side of the punch buggy, the yellow sedan there, yes, there is somebody in the passenger seat who it looks like they're undoing their seatbelt and looks like they're going to get out of the vehicle next turn.
And did I notice him smoking before?
You no. Well, yeah, he'd put it out by the time you noticed him. Yeah.
Well, seeing as we're here to probably stop the dump truck, did Umbaran let me know about that? Did he let me know that the dump truck is the target?
Little paper shuriken lands in your armor. You pull it up, and it says, "Choose one if you want to know about A, the dump truck, B, the movies this week, C, what's playing." And You open it like a high school note. That's a joke. I'm going
It's like a whole cookie picture, yeah.
And by the time you open it up, it contains that information.
Is it that little thing that you move your fingers in and out and it opens in different ways?
That's it. Yeah. Do you like somebody or not, or what color is your color? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, I think I'm going to try and disable this garbage truck. So I've disabled the forklift.
Yep.
And now disable the garbage truck. Try and basically clutter up this alley so that there's not a lot of movement that can happen. I'm going to shoot the the cab of the garbage truck, trying to mess it up as much as possible so it will be absolutely undrivable.
Sounds good. So you can target that right there, and hopefully not hit Umbaran who's sitting on top, or have it blow into explosions, that kind of thing. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make an attack roll. So give me your best, your ability of 3 plus your range modifier, which is your favorite attacks at +2. And I don't know what range you're at there. I should probably find out. If you're within under 10 inches, you might get a +1 for range too. But it looks like you're just at 11 inches, so not quite there. So
I'll take what I can get.
Give me a roll, and you've already got a 5 to start with, which is pretty good, and you're just going up against a D6.
Oh, I rolled a 1.
You guys. Oh, I look at that. Luckily, I didn't roll a 6, which would have been a fumble, which would have been something horrible happening with your wrist blasters. So I rolled a 2. So technically, you hit it, but it doesn't do any damage again. It's just sort of a blast kind of smashes into the cab, and there's lots of pyrotechnics and sparks. But that's about it, as opposed to damage and that sort of thing. Okay.
Well, he might be the knight, but I apparently am the comic relief.
All right. So the sparks fly, and the two people standing in front of the kind of panic, and she says, "You set this up," and he goes, "No, I tell you, we didn't set you up." And he goes, and he's apologizing. She says, "I knew this would happen. That's why we bought reinforcements." And the yellow car door opens up, and out. I'm going to activation roll. I rolled a 3, so 1 to step out of the vehicle there, and you get a. Where do I put my miniature of him? Great. Always helps if you actually have the miniature of the character you want. The door opens up, and you see this big, furry, brown figure rise up out of the yellow car, and he kind of shakes his head a bit and kind of fixes his arm, and you see that he is actually the character, the Mighty Owlbear.
No.
And the Mighty Owlbear is sort of like a Wolverine-y kind of character who is. Whoop, there he is.
Get a close up on him.
Let me see if I can do that. Wrong direction. Everything's opposite, crazy opposite land. I don't know if I can put it in focus. I can show you. I find you the picture in the book. So here he is. There you are. So he's
like kind of a porcupine Wolverine sort of guy. Okay.
Yeah, with a kind of an owlbear mask head assembly sort of thing, and claws that are steel, gardening tools basically. So there he is. He steps out and he looks around and he kind of shakes his shoulders, and he's like, "Yeah, what's going on? Who needs me?" And that's pretty much all that he can do. The fellow who dropped the briefcase picks up the briefcase, and the two characters that you knocked down, Umbaran, they get to their feet, and they begin to just take some cover behind the forklift and the back of the dock here. And they pull out their weapons. All right. So that gets us back to Umbaran, who has discovered that beside him on the pavement in the alley is the owlbear, and down here by the docks there are some gentlemen in narrow jackets with guns.
Those are the guys that knocked over and they're back up now, right?
Yeah, they just got back up last that game turn or that page.
Okay. But the closest target to me is the fearsome owlbear, correct?
Correct.
Then I'm throwing my moon sickles at him.
All right. I'm just going to make a roll for owlbear. He rolls a 6, so he's aware of you. And he decides that he is going to take an opportunity to do a Oh, he's got elusive, so he should be okay. He's not going to dodge. He just kind of glares up at you with his cold, dead eyes.
All right.
So have you rolled to activate?
Roll a 4.
Okay, so 4 is good. So now you can roll for your attack. So ability plus your range modifiers, plus 1 for short range. So you get starting with a 6 plus a d6.
D6 is a 3.
Okay, so your total is 9. His ability is 3. His defensive roll, he has elusive 2, which gives him plus 2. So he starts at a 5, and I rolled a 2, 6, 7. You hit him. Now I rolled a 7, you rolled a 9, so you hit with 2 points of damage, and I believe you that is the damage. So 2 points of damage. So with the mighty owlbear, he has a armor of 6, so he can absorb 6 points of damage. So it bounces off owlbear's claws as he puts them up, and he says, "Hey, stop throwing things."
All right, I'm feeling less like a powerful Midnight Avenger as time goes by. All right, but that's my turn, so I guess it's on to you, Mechaneer.
Yes, and so Mechaneer, who is standing on the Lotto Center, which is conveniently obscured by this boat. What are you going to do? Activate, I suppose.
I am going to activate. Let's try, and hopefully I got better. I got a 3.
Okay, so your 3, you could continue firing. You have some more targets acquired. You have the owlbear. You have the two, the Adams representative here, and the woman in the Jackie Onassis outfit.
Let's see. Now, could I jump, do like a charge action? How mighty is my suit?
So your suit itself has armor. It can stop. It's got invulnerable. So we can stop up to 6 points of damage if you're lucky. But you also have 2 points built in, so it can actually technically stop up to 8 points of damage.
Is that the Mighty 2 that's part of the power suit?
Yeah. So actually, it's the
power plus 2 armor.
Yeah. If you look under armor, it's got plus 2 and it's got invulnerable. So
Cool.
yeah. So you could probably handle a bullet easily, but we'll have to see about Mighty Owlbear's claws. That would be the thing you don't want to worry about.
Could I jump down, run across the blue car and the punch buggy, and then slam into the car that Owlbear got out of, trying to push the car up against the dump truck, trapping him in the process?
Yes, and Mighty is kind of what you're talking about there with your armor, right? So so let me just see here. Because I got pirate suit is Mighty 2. So you are what did you roll for your
activation? Was a 3.
A 3. So you could run a full 6, which here's what I'm going to let you do. You can still do stunts without having those fancy talents, but you don't get the bonuses. So why don't you roll a stunt roll, because you're going to get.
I'm sorry, stunt roll for what?
Give me a stunt roll. So ability plus a d6, and tell me what you get. You want to roll high.
A 5.
A 5. Okay, that's you rolled a 5. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So you can get a plus 1. So on your movement there, so that will give you an 8. So that would just let you do what you want to do there, to
Awesome.
slam into the vehicle. And since you're actually looking to push it, you're not going to do any damage to it necessarily, but you're going to try and kind of slam it into him. So give me a, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a bonus to your damage. because you moved 8 technically, you'll get a +4 to your damage there. Okay, half of your movement. What's your ability? So you're going to attack the car. So do an attack roll of 3 and a d6.
A 5 again.
Okay, so a total of 8, and the car itself rolled a 2. So you got 6 points of damage, and I'm letting you add 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. So -3, so that's so basically you're going to knock the car 3 inches back. So it's going to pin him and the vehicle. So between the two of them, you're slamming the vehicle into the garbage truck, which is going to do damage to Mighty Owlbear. And the way to calculate that is how much damage you did to the vehicle, which I believe was, I said 8, did I not?
Yes, I think so.
Sometimes it's nicer when I can see the dice in front of me than I remember.
I think it was 20. I think it was 20.
Well, that would end things really quick for Mighty Owlbear. So the 10 is a pretty solid smack into the vehicle there, and he takes 6 of that off. So that takes 4 points off of his health. He has 6 health, kind of like you guys do. So that knocks him down to 2 left, and because he lost over half of his health, he has to make an ability check, and if he fails, he gets knocked out. Okay, so he made a 6. He needed a 6, so he slams into it, and he's got this horrified, like, oh my God, what's going on? Look on his face as the car pins him up against the garbage truck with a mighty smash.
I hope somebody recorded that for my Instagram feed.
Well, the villains are too terrified to do anything about that, but you just did that. Now it's the villain's turn. They rolled a 3 for activation. The Adams guy, I'm going to make, because you're a superhero and you're just like toasting their backup, I'm going to make a roll for each of them to kind of like see how they're doing in terms of like a morale check. Just a basic ability check. They both fail because they each have, they have ability of 3. But so one of them makes it. There's a woman in the Jackie Onassis outfit makes it, but the Adams guy, who's got the checklist of gear and stuff, he decides he's going to book it. So he runs as far as he can away from the scene. So he's going to basically get to about here, down the sidewalk. You can double your movement to run. So she lights up another cigarette, and she looks over at Mechaneer, and she says, "Nice suit." Which she's going to hold her action, see what she wants to do here. She's playing it cool.
Would it be inappropriate for me a Dr. Girlfriend joke right now?
Well,
Brothers.
It would be fairly appropriate if you take a look at the miniature. I don't know if you can see the miniature here, but it's pretty darn close, I gotta say.
Okay.
I was making a couple of characters that were, a nod towards a couple of very fun characters I like. All right, so she's playing it cool and not really being very cautious about the fact that there's superheroes trashing cars around her. These two guys in the back are going to open up on Umbaran. So they both stand up and begin to fire at the Dark Avenger on top of the garbage truck, which doesn't sound as impressive when you say it out loud like that.
That's true.
So they stand up. The Wayne guy, however, he decides he's got the briefcase full of money. He's going to try and get to the cars. So actually, he's going to get to the boat. So he decides he's going to run for it. So he runs behind these guys that are firing the guns, holding onto his hat as he runs, but he doesn't have a hat, so it's kind of embarrassing for him. All right.
I don't know why I found that so funny.
That imaginary hat.
He's got a hat all of a sudden. Where'd that come from? So the two guys are going to open up at you, and they each have automatic weapons. So I get to use my automatic weapon rules. Umbaran is going to have 2 defensive rolls to worry about because they rolled a 3. They can only fire once. And I think 3 4 in total with the range. So, okay, the first guy got a 4. So 8 total. And Umbaran's ability is 3. He has a defensive mod of 1 because he's got elusive. So you start with a 4.
And I'm rolling 1d6 again.
That's correct.
So let me reset and roll. I got a 3.
Okay, so because the difference of the rolls, the way I do auto fire is based on the 2 dice rolls. So if I would have doubled your roll, like if you rolled a 2, then 2 bullets would have hit you. That's how I generally do auto fire there. Up to 3 bullets can hit you in an auto fire attack. But because you rolled a 3 and I rolled a 4, only 1 bullet hit. What was your total roll when you add up your ability and your elusive and your roll?
My ability is 3. I rolled a 3 on the d6, so that's 6. Adding in elusive gives me how much more?
+1.
All right, so 7.
All right, and I got an 8. So you take 1 point of damage. But if you take a look under your armor, you have a 2-point armored costume.
Oh, okay. So I just go, and I'm going to be bruised tomorrow, but I am not bleeding or anything.
You are not bleeding or anything. Second guy is going to fire, and he ends up getting a 6.
Okay. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, I got a 5.
Hey, that's not bad. 1 bullet hits, and I believe it to be, since the difference is the same, it would be the same 1 point of damage again. So it's just like, yeah, bing, bing. It's kind of like in the first Batman movie there with Tim Burton, and the guys shoot him, but nothing really happens to him.
Okay, good. That's the best result when someone shoots at you. So
in that case, you've lucked out.
Yep.
Okay, so who is next here? That would be now that's the bad guys. Now it's up to you, Umbaran. What are you going to do?
Well, I was going to throw my crescents at the 2 guys who shot at me, but I think maybe the appropriate team player mode is to throw them at the nice lady in the blue dress, the pull box hat, who is skimming on just doing something terrible to my teammate.
Okay, so you can definitely do that. Your ability plus a d6 plus 2 plus another 1, so 6 is your starting roll plus a d6.
Okay, let me get over here and clear out the die roller, and I'm rolling. Got a 3 on the d6.
Okay, so you got a 9 total. She got a 1. Sorry, 1, and so 1 plus her ability of 3 is a 4. And so what was your total? Sorry, 9?
I believe it was 9, yeah.
All right, so she got a 3, so it's 6 points of difference, which is pretty darn good. She doesn't have any armor. She has 6 health, so she's taken down to 0 health, which means that she is technically wounded. Now you can roll a walking wounded roll, which she fails, which means that you just knocked her out, just bang, she's down. So before she could do anything, she drops, and the pistol falls out from under her pillbox hat.
You think Batman ever feels bad when he knocks out Harley Quinn? Because I kind of feel like a jerk right now.
Well, you don't know how dangerous she could possibly be, so you're playing it safe, I suppose. However, Umbaran, I'm going to get you to do an ability check.
Okay, I am rolling 1d6. Set, roll. Got a 1.
Okay, so Mechaneer, before you get your action, you're going to do an ability check as well. And
I love ability checks.
Me too.
Let's see what we got. Oh, you got to be kidding me. 2.
Well, that might do it. So 2 plus 3, you don't have any awareness, so you don't notice something. I just wanted to see if you noticed something, but that's okay. So yes, she drops from the crescent boomerang, and now it is Mechaneer's turn, and Mechaneer sees that Mighty Owlbear is kind of writhing and scratching the vehicle with his claws, trying to get out. He hasn't gone out. Oh dear. Okay, so he rolled a 1 for his basically his strength, and he's just scratching away as best he can at the car, but it's still pinned him.
All right, I'm going to rush that same car, trying to give him another impact to maybe knock him out, but also to try and wedge that under the wedge the rear end of the car under the wheels of the dump truck, so they can't drive anywhere.
Got it. So why don't you give me an activation check to see what your activation is?
A 5.
Oh, that's awesome. So so basically you can back up and then run in and I'll give you a d6 roll to attack the vehicle.
And I got another 5.
Okay, so I got a 5 as well. So what happens is a wild card effect. When you attack something and their defensive roll is the same as your attack roll, it's called a wild card. And
Ooh, cool.
so you're going to roll 2d6 and see what the result is first.
Okay. Just change the number of dice, rolling 2d6, and I got an 8.
Okay. So getting an 8 means that fog of war. So by hitting this car into the side of the dump truck, you've just released all this steam or gas or something from the side of the dump truck. Some sort of valve has blown, hydraulic gas or something is just something spitting out everywhere. So fog of war means it's going to be hard to see, and all ranges for spotting and attacks are halved in this 6x6 area here. So just all this debris is flying through the air and creating mayhem, which is good for people. Sorry?
I was just gonna say, does it have any effect on the owl bear?
Well, he's currently covered in horrifying steam and screaming. But I'm going to let you roll the damage there. So you rolled a 5 plus 3, so an 8, and I rolled a 5, so 3 plus. You rolled a 5, so that would be plus 2, so 5 points of damage to Owlbear, who is, he's left with 2, but he has 6 points of armor. So he grins and bears it. Kind of screaming because he's unable to escape at the moment, but he's been, pinned down under the vehicle, and so he's kind of disappeared underneath the dump truck. I
see what you did there, by the way, that he grinned and bared it.
Yeah, he owlbeared it. So he disappeared.
The highest form of humor.
He disappears into underneath the truck there, and it's kind of horrifying. And then. Next round, the sound that you were supposed to be hearing is actually a sound of a police car screeching to the scene. So there's the police car there. Another paper police car.
What is my relationship with the authorities?
You are a vigilante and wanted. Mechaneer is tolerated, but he is often questioned for hours after incidents. So it's kind of not a great thing if he gets hauled in by the cops.
Great.
So yeah, he comes. The police come barreling around the corner with the lights blazing, and you can hear the guy as he's running to the tug yell, "Geez, the 5-0!" So that's not so good.
Cheese it! It's the law.
Joe Law, and the man in the narrow jacket says, "That's it. We're out." Yeah, they're going to try and get the heck out of there. So this guy, the Adams guy, he runs into onto the vehicle. He runs to the back, bursts through the back door of the lovely tug, which I actually have an interior for. You can see the lovely.
Oh my God, that's so cool!
I didn't design this one. I just built it, so it's kind of fun. Yeah.
Did these take a long time to put together?
Yeah, oh yeah. you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, that they can. The tug was a labor of love because it was just so much fun to build. But I actually put glass or plastic in the windows, so it was kind of. Don't ask me. It was just too much work. And these two gentlemen, they're going to make a break for it to get to this to another door. So they run. And this Adams guy that's down the street here, he decides that he's going to continue down the street into the. He's off the table there. He falls off the earth. So it just leaves you two and the police and the unconscious people left.
I think this is a good time to jump onto rooftops and drift away into the all-concealing night.
And I can use the steam to escape.
It's true. You could disappear into the steam and away from the police there, and that would obscure your running down the sidewalk there.
Is it running or is it like a tank chewing up the sidewalk as I go?
A little bit of both, but there's a lot of huffing and puffing as you're,
Well, doesn't he have roller skates on his boots?
That would be awesome. I should just think of something like that. But yeah.
No, I mean literally in the art, doesn't he have roller skates on his boots?
No, he's got toes.
He's got like big rubber toes, basically.
Oh, I thought those were roller skates. Okay, I got you. All right.
But that would be a great. You do have a thing. And because it's the last scene of our issue, Mechaneer, you got something called Jury Rig, which is an issue power, and that lets you create any panel power you want out of your armor that you could use in an encounter.
Like roller skates.
Like roller skates. So you could turn them into like jet powered roller skates and just like get the heck out of there like a bat out of hell. So
let's do it.
So give me an ability check.
Oh, please roll high.
And you got mechanic, so you can add a bonus of +1 on there. So
I got a 3.
A 3, so 6, 7. So your ability check would let you kick it into high gear there, and this sort of infernal whine kicks in as the jet engines in your boots that you've suddenly activated whip you down the street in a careening mess. You go past the Wayne guy, just giving him a terrified glare as you zip past him into the down the street up over the hill, and totally out of control, but doing the best you can.
I like it.
And Umbaran, you can just take 6 if you like. I'll let you. There's one rule that I have that if you're just going to do something, or if the GM allows it, you can just say, "Hey, I'm going to take 6," and you can just take a 6 movement or take a 6 to activate or move and do something, and you can just jump onto the rooftop and just skip out, from rooftop to rooftop to get away from there, as the police come barreling in to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm guessing jumping from rooftop to rooftop is old hat for this guy. So yeah, I'm fine with just doing a take 6.
So yeah, give me just an ability check and you're out of there.
Okay. Set, roll. I got a 3.
3 and 3 is 6. That's exactly what you would need. So you just on the GM's Fiat there, just get up here and glance down. You can see the police getting out of the vehicle with their guns drawn, trying to figure out what's going on. And you hear the tug pull out. It's trying to get away. So it's leaving the dock as we speak. All right. So I'm going to end it there, and that's your encounter.
Pretty slick.
Yeah,
and pretty awesome. Yeah.
And you can generally fit in about 2 or 3 of those encounters in an issue or in an evening. And I find that it goes fairly quick, especially hand-to-hand combat, because I don't think you guys ever actually entered into hand-to-hand combat, but there's something called counterattack, which lets you attack back with the same dice roll that you're attacked. So you can actually probably do a combat in half the time for hand-to-hand combat that way.
Well, you told me I was really terrible at it, so I tried to avoid that.
Yeah, well, you're better at the ranged attack, definitely. I think both of you are better at the ranged attack. The team that I have that of players that you play these characters on a regular basis, Umbaran and Mechaneer are generally the stealth and high tech people. But then there's sort of a character, it's kind of like a Supergirl character, and she's the brick. She kind of just jumps in and starts punching. And then I also have a character called Anomaly, who's kind of a Green Lantern type of character who uses energy to create different effects. Yeah. So that's the game, and it goes. I find it goes fairly quickly. As a GM, I'm pretty old school, so I like to just kind of do a lot of hand waving as we play as well, and just make things a little more comic-y and more in genre that way.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. I think
that was fun.
Great. I think the one thing that a lot of people kind of balk at a little bit initially is the activation system, but I think I like it because it adds this level of randomness to your your actions, and especially in a superhero game where superheroes are generally power gamers, it kind of balances things out. So you could actually have a group of thugs take out Batman, if Batman is activating poorly.
Yeah, boy, it's been so long since I played a game with an activation role. I want to say 1980s, playing Starfleet Frontiers with my dad.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where I think I got it. And then
Starfleet Battles, yeah.
FASA did something with action points with their original Star Trek game. And then, I think there was, I sort of adapted it for like wargaming, out of a wargaming background. And then when I did the dungeon game, it was based on a game called Space Station Decay, where you were on a space station, its orbit was decaying, and it was all based on your movement rolls. So, so that kind of ported over into the superhero rules, and I don't know. I think it creates a real tension for the characters. I don't think you get in some superhero games.
Cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I gotta say those the miniatures and the setting you created there really took it to the next level, I think.
Yeah, I really think that it makes a fun game for me because I get the hobby aspect of the crafting and the building that I've been doing for a couple of years now. At least about 15 years. But I'm starting to build my own material as well. So this building here, for example, that Umbaran escaped on, it is my own design. So it's got stackable levels. Each level has an interior.
Oh wow! Okay.
As well.
That is amazing.
But the other thing about it that I really like is that you take the base out and it folds flat, so I can store it in a shoebox.
So you don't have to worry about taking up your kitchen table all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I have some of these buildings, like this building here, are glued to cereal box material, but this will give me an option to basically make fold flat terrain, which I can take to conventions and other things as well. So
I guess we should mention that I'm assuming all of your buildings and miniatures are available from your Okum Arts storefront on RPG Now and DriveThruRPG.
Just about. These buildings here are part of a release I'm coming up with called Sinister Cities, and Sinister Cities will come out probably next month, mid-April. I've already released the street tiles, the printable street tiles, which are on here. But I am just tweaking the building so I can give them more options. I really liked what I've come up with, but I think I can do even more. So.
Indeed, and if someone wants to check out Save the Day, either the basic set or the advanced set, those are both available from Okum Arts on RPG Now and DriveThru as well, and that's Okum Arts spelled OKUMARTS.
That's right.
All right, cool. Oh, was that an IKEA box there in the back?
IKEA box for a camera dolly. Yeah. So there you go.
Cool. Nice.
Film School 101.
And I still love that tugboat.
It's a delightful tugboat. This is actually from a company called WorldWorks Games, which do really great terrain. They're kind of in limbo at the moment, but this is a really wonderful tugboat that I think is just amazing. When I built it, it was so much fun to build. Like I said, for example, I have the windows are clear plastic. So that you can see the interior and see out, mainly just because I wanted to do it, and I thought it'd be a fun challenge to build it that way.
Yeah, it looks great. Well, hey, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Any closing thoughts before we call it a show?
No, I think it's kind of I like the way that the game runs, but I think the thing that really is exciting about any superhero game is actually making the characters, and it'd be kind of fun maybe sometime to sit down and do like a character creation episode, or walk you through the character creation process, because
I would totally be up for that. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's fun to make your own stuff, and that creates a. For me, that's what superhero games are. Makes them so much fun, is just playing with the system and seeing what you can make.
All right, cool. All right, well, Walt, Dave, thanks with you guys for coming out today.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And to our listeners, we'll catch you next time on the BAMF podcast.
All right, toodaloo.